December 29, 1999, the NSA were monitoring a phone located into a house in Yemen. They had listened on phone calls revealing that al-Qaeda operatives Khalid al-Mihdhar, Nawaf al-Hazmi, and his brother Salim al-Hazmi are to attend an important meeting in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia in January of 2000. Khalid al-Mihdhar's full name was mentioned, as well as the first names of Nawaf al-Hazmi and Salim al-Hazmi. On this day, the NSA shares this information with the CIA's Alex station, which is the bin Laden unit. Other U.S. intelligence agencies, including the FBI headquarters and the FBI's New York field office, are told as well. Although Khalid al-Mihdhar's full name was mentioned in the call, the NSA only passes on his first name. Also, the NSA has already learned from monitoring the Yemen hub that Nawaf's last name is al-Hazmi, and that he has longtime friends with Khalid al-Mihdhar. However, they either don't look this up in their records or don't pass it on to any other agency. Later, an NSA analyst makes a comment that it is shared between the intelligence agencies that, quote, Salim may be Nawaf's younger brother, end quote. A CIA case officer will later tell the 9/11 congressional inquiry that information from the Africa embassy bombings in August 7, 1998, was reviewed in late 99 during a worldwide effort to disrupt Millennium attack plotters, and a kind of turning fork buzzed when two al-Qaeda operatives reportedly planning a trip to Kuala Lumpur were linked indirectly to what appeared to be a support element involved with the Africa bombers. The fact that they are connected to the Yemen communications hub already indicates some importance within al-Qaeda. It is learned they are connected to the embassy bombings in some way. The NSA report about them on this day is entitled, quote, Activities of bin Laden Associates, end quote, showing the clear knowledge of their ties to bin Laden. The CIA will track Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi to the Malaysia summit meeting and have their photographs taken along with other people who attend the meeting. The use of this phone stops 2 months after the August 1998 African bombings. However, it appears that Osama bin Laden and other al-Qaeda leaders continued to use other satellite phones occasionally after this time. Shortly after 9/11, author James Bamford, an expert authority on the NSA, quote, about a year or so ago, the NSA lost all track of him. He may still use satellite phones occasionally to talk about something mundane, but he discovered that the transmitters can be used for honing, end quote. According to a different account, bin Laden will attempt to use a phone communication method, but U.S. intelligence will soon discover it and continue monitoring his calls. So what were they listening to? If the NSA had begun monitoring this house in Yemen and began listening to the phone calls 5 years prior to the September 11th attacks, as well as listening to satellite phones used by bin Laden and other al-Qaeda operatives starting as early as back as 1992, that's 9 years prior to the event. A lot of phone calls. What data did they transcribe? What data did they hear from these serious al-Qaeda leaders and associates? This is what we need to be talking about. And we need to have this information declassified so that we can know whether they knew whether the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks were upcoming, or were they not talked about at all. Either way, this information definitely needs to be known to the people. As for the NSA not sharing data, as well as the CIA regarding the FBI and the State Department about al-Qaeda operatives coming inside the country, that needs to be addressed as well. But let's hear from Mark Rossini, an FBI agent out of New York, as well as James Bamford, talk about how the NSA knew about the Kuala Lumpur meeting, as well as the CIA, and never shared the information that both men, Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, were coming inside the United States.
It intercepts an alarming call to the house in Yemen, instructing 2 al-Qaeda foot soldiers to fly to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, for what sounds like a terrorist summit. The foot soldiers are Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. This is the phone call that sets in motion the 9/11 attacks.
After picking up this critical call, NSA passed on their first names to the FBI and the CIA, but not their last names. Nawaf's last name had been in NSA's database for over a year because of his association with bin Laden's operations center in Yemen. But apparently the NSA never looked it up.
The CIA does find al-Mihdhar's name in its database. They ask security agents to make a copy of his passport as he passes through a checkpoint in Dubai. When analysts at CIA headquarters see it, they are astonished to find a valid U.S. visa inside. Alex Station, the CIA's bin Laden unit, now has 2 FBI agents detailed to it, Doug Miller and Mark Rossini.
Once they arrived in Kuala Lumpur, of course, CIA requested the intelligence service over there in Malaysia to conduct surveillance of these subjects and find out as much as they can. They took photographs, followed them, and you read from that one of the individuals had a visa to come to the U.S.
Fearing an al-Qaeda terrorist may be headed to the U.S., the agents are determined to tell the FBI, but a CIA official will not allow it.
I guess I was the more senior agent. So I went up to the individual that had the ticket on the Yemeni cell, the Yemeni operatives, and I said to her, I said, what's going on? You know, we got to tell the Bureau about this. These guys clearly are bad. One of them at least has a multiple entry visa to the U.S. We got to tell the FBI. And then she said to me, no, it's not the FBI's case, not the FBI's jurisdiction. So I go tell Doug, and I'm like, Doug, what can we do? If we had picked up the phone and called the Bureau, I would have been violating the law. I would have broken the law. I would have been removed from the building that day. I would have had my clearances suspended, and I would have been gone.
This is one of the most astonishing parts of the story. The CIA had FBI operatives working within their bin Laden unit. But when the FBI operatives found out that one and possibly 2 of the terrorists had visas to the United States, were heading for the United States, the CIA wouldn't let them tell their headquarters that they were coming. Only the FBI could have put out alerts to stop Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi if they tried to enter the United States.